Hello and welcome to Preview Percy's preview for people who can't be bothered to read. This weekend we take a few days off from the ever-deepening nightmare that is the league to take on West Bromwich Albion in the fourth round of the FA Cup, which is probably sponsored by somebody or other. I can never be bothered to look it up. Kick-off is 3 p.m. on a Saturday, which is just as it should be, what with the TV companies having missed a trick or two, not realising there's a chance of a former manager getting one over his old club on Saturday. So West Brom then, or if you prefer, the Baggies. A quick glance at the league table shows you they top whatever we're supposed to call Division 2 these days. They've pretty much been there since October, a few days here and there apart. They have 53 points from their 28 matches played so far. This gives them a 1-point lead over Leeds, who've played the same number of games and have an identical goal difference of plus 19. West Brom have a lead of 4 points over third place Fulham. Despite their apparently lofty position, West Brom's recent form has been a bit patchy, which is why Fulham and to a certain extent Forest, Brentford and Preston are all having a quick look and breathing down their necks. In the league, West Brom haven't won in 6 since they beat Birmingham 3-2 at St Andrews. Their record since then is drawn 4 and lost 2, the most recent match being a 1-0 defeat at the Hawthorns to Stoke City. Something of a surprise, that one. At the helm is, of course, our old chum Slaven Bilic. He's an affable cove for whom there is still a certain amount of affection by many with Claret and Blue connections. He returned to his former club to take young Grady Diangana on loan. Diangana's had a successful time up there with 5 goals this season, including a brace in his league debut for the Baggies. He's had a few injury problems of late. His return from a back problem in the Stoke match lasted just a few minutes before his hamstring went. That injury would not only prevent him from playing in this match, but it also put pay to any prospect of our exercising whatever recall clauses we had in the contract that sent him out there on loan. I was a bit perplexed by Moyes' comments on the proposed recall, which suggested that the player would be better off in the Midlands. Playing in a winning team will be good for him, said Moyes. Yeah, cheers for that, David. Daisy, my full-time personal assistant with a beautiful smile, informs me that their top scorer this season so far is winger Matt Phillips. Phillips, an alumnus of the Blackpool side we beat in the 2012 playoff final, started off winning age group caps for England before switching allegiance to the Scotland of his grandmother's birth. He tops the West Brom goal-scoring chart with 8 this season, all of which have come in the league. One behind Phillips in the league is Charlie Austin. He's got 7 in 20 league appearances. I may be wrong, but every time I've seen him score on the box this season, it's been when he's come from the bench. That's entirely possible, as 8 of those 20 league appearances have come from the bench. A summer arrival, it took Austin a while to open his account, his first goal not coming until October. He's also got an extra goal to his name in the League Cup, which puts him level with Phillips overall. The third entry on the chart is Welsh international Hal Robson-Kanu. He had his 15 minutes of fame in Euro 2016, picking up a couple of goals in the tournament. The most famous of those was the one that gave Wales a 2-1 lead against Belgium, in a match that the Taffs eventually won 3-1 to qualify for the semi-finals. Arguably, Robson was a bit lucky to be there, famously discovering almost by accident that the little old dear he used to visit in Tenby on family holidays every year was Welsh. Since the little old dear was his gran, that qualified him for boyo status, and the rest, as they say, is history. As it's a cup match, I'll curtail the usual look at their signings over the season, and let's move on to us, if I have to. The latest suggestion I've seen in the press in France is that we've been linked with a return by Dimitri Payet. Recent photos suggested that he's added a few pounds since his departure. Only being in France, I expect he's done it in kilos. On the face of it, the signing of an overweight player probably past his sell-by date would be pretty much par for the course for a Sully special. However, I suspect that the talented but troublesome Payet and his advisors may have nosed off the short one with all that stupid stuff in the past when they left. It may be just enough for Sullivan to want to avoid all contact with them. Other than that, the noises coming from the club over prospective transfers are depressingly familiar. Yeah, we'd like to buy a player or two, but we can't guarantee that will happen. All of which is trying to build us up to a position where the signing of, say, Joe Allen is seen as a positive thing. It's been pretty much like that every January since I can remember, since the current owners took over. If only we had a proper director of football. I mean, there must be a club somewhere that the Baroness hasn't annoyed with that bloody newspaper column. Yeah, okay, I suppose I'd better move on to Leicester away. That was inept, woeful, poor, disastrous, take your pick. And before the club shakes its head and starts moaning about negative coverage again, as is its wont, I would point out that each of those words was picked at random from mainstream news sources. So if anyone at the club has an issue with that, they know where to go. Actually, it does raise an interesting metaphysical quandary. Which is worse, negative reporting or reporting negative reporting? Yeah, okay, maybe interesting is overstating that a bit. Getting back to the Leicester match, there was a spell, once Antonio come on for the second half, where, having gotten ourselves back into the game, we were pushing for the equaliser. However, once the third had gone in, that was it. We didn't actually throw in the towel. The act of throwing suggests a level of energy totally absent for much of the match. It was more a case of, yeah, there's a towel around here somewhere, help yourself. The return of Antonio was the bright spot of the evening, such as it was, though even he got no change from referee David Coote, an official who seemed to be there by virtue of his entering a competition on the back of a cornflakes packet. The bit where Antonio was fouled twice before being penalised for being in the same postcode as a Leicester player who miscontrolled the ball was a particularly high spot for that hapless official. It does make you wonder who actually won the cornflakes competition. One thing I have noticed emanating from various quarters is the suggestion that our defensive woes can be attributed to the former manager. I suppose to a certain degree that's true, but I didn't hear the same sort of attribution being afforded to Pellegrini for the wins over Bournemouth and Gillingham. Funny that, isn't it? On the injury front, Yarmolenko, Fabianski, Fredericks and Anderson are all definitely out. Snodgrass aggravated an old knee problem on Wednesday and failed to appear for the second half, whilst Wilshere has disappeared through some wormhole through the space-time continuum and is currently receiving treatment from the most advanced medical brains the universe has or ever will have produced, all of whom are completely baffled. Prediction? Well, both sides now have bigger, if somewhat different, fish to fry. Some changes to the usual lineups are more than likely. I'd not be in the slightest bit surprised to see Sanchez start, and maybe some form of run out for Winston Reid, who has either been fit enough for a place on the bench in the last few games, or has been occupying a space there for the sake of appearances, despite not being up to coming on. This match is all about attitude. There's precious little of it on display up at Leicester in midweek, and with an opposition full of players keen to prove that they're the answer to their recent wobble in form as they go for promotion, if we go into this one with the wrong attitude, and with the same slapdash approach as we sort of brought to the match at Leicester, I can't see us winning. Contrast that with the way we played against Gillingham, where the words professional performance were on everyone's lips. Didn't take long for that to change, did it? So, do I back Moyes to get something out of whoever he picks? Well, for some reason, the answer is yes. After Wednesday, God alone knows why, but for some reason, I'm going to put the £2.50 that was going on TalkSport's dry cleaning bills. You know, it's not cheap cleaning up when a presenter misses a target that big, you know. I'm going to put it on a scrappy, dismal home win. Call it 1-0 to us then, Mr. Winston. Enjoy the game. For the rest of the written version of this, you can go to kumb.com. Just try not to move your lips while you're reading it. People might think you're a Tottenham supporter.